Hi, this is Indranil and you are watching Business Bites in our channel The Spotlight, India's first online business news channel. In today's Business Bites, first news we have US President Donald Trump imposed 25% tariff on India with an unspecified additional penalty. Second news we have Reliance Industries planning to sell 5% of Reliance Jio shares to raise over $6 billion. Third news we have packaged food companies are focusing on spices as demand surged with consumers' taste shift. Fourth news we have fintech startup BharatPe is on profitability track and looking to raise $100 million of fund. And fifth news we have Reliance Industries in talks to lead a $50 million funding round in space tech startup Digantara. In first news, US President Mr. Donald Trump imposed 25% tariff on India with an unspecified additional penalty. US President Donald Trump unexpectedly announced a 25% tariff on India along with an unspecified additional penalty to punish India for making energy purchases from Russia and launching a broadside against ongoing bilateral trade talks when the levies take effect from 1st August while India is studying the implications of the announcement. The announcement came at a time when US trade negotiators are preparing to visit India next month for further talks on the proposed bilateral trade agreement, when the first part of which is to be concluded by October. On the other side, India asserted in a statement that government will take all steps necessary to secure national interest, as has been the case with other trade agreements, including the latest comprehensive economic and trade agreement with the UK. India and the US have been engaged in negotiations on concluding a fair, balanced and mutually beneficial bilateral trade agreement over the last few months, and the government of India attached the utmost importance to protecting and promoting the welfare of the farmers, entrepreneurs and MSMEs. The Indian and US team concluded the fifth round of talks on the agreement last week in Washington, and a bilateral trade agreement is under negotiation, announced by Indian Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi and US President Mr. Donald Trump in February to more than double bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030. US accounts for about 18% of India's total goods exports, where India's shrimp, textile, gems and jewelry, toys and engineering exports could be the most hit by the higher tariffs, as the US is the largest market for the domestic shrimp industry, when India's total goods exports to the US were $86.5 billion in the financial year 2025. In second news, Reliance Industries planning to sell 5% of Reliance Jio shares to raise over $6 billion. Mukesh Ambani-owned oils to telecoms to retail conglomerate Reliance Industries is planning for an initial share sales of Reliance Jio of 5% next year, which could raise over $6 billion when the company started informal discussions with the Securities and Exchange Board of India to launch an IPO of India's top telco, Reliance Jio, with a public float of less than the customary 25%. Reliance Industries Limited is believed to be making the point to the capital market regulator that the Indian stock market doesn't have the depth to absorb a larger listing, and if it will be cleared, the IPO could be India's biggest ever, when even a float of 5% at the current valuation would raise more than Chinese battery major contemporary Aperex Technologies' $5.3 billion offering in Hong Kong, which was the largest listing globally this year. Jio launched commercial telecom services in 2016 and is having a subscriber base of nearly 500 million users who are consuming huge amount of data. An IPO would give an exit to global investors like Meta Platforms and Alphabet's Google, which invested more than $20 billion in Reliance Industries Limited's digital venture in 2020. The holding company of Reliance Industries Limited digital and telecom assets, Jio Platforms, was then valued at $58 billion, while Jio Platforms is the holding company of Reliance Jio. In third news, packaged food companies are focusing on spices as demand surged with consumers' taste shift. India is having its spice and chili moment when Nestle has a Maggi Spice plan, Naturals offering spicy guava ice cream, and Tata Consumers campaign for Ching's secret noodles highlights its high spice factor. As there is a clear shift that spice is no longer just traditional, consumers are increasingly drawn to global chili experiences. On that context, PepsiCo has introduced a series of variants under its mainstay Lay's and Kurkure brands with higher spice intensity and regional taste preferences, which have been designed to cater to India's growing appetite for bold, fiery flavors. When across packaged food makers have stepped up research on such products for incremental value and volume, more so at a time when regional brands are giving the larger players serious competition. Spice has become the new normal, with 1 in every 3 new products trials over the last 12 months in the spicy category, when spice momos now contributes 25 to 30% of the Wow Momos total sales, with hot chili wings, Korean chicken meatballs, and its spicy and saucy range as higher sellers. Companies like ITC, Hindustan Unilever, KFC, and Burger King are among the others which are leveraging spice in their menus to tap into the current trend and push sales at a time of heightened competition and muted sales. McDonald's, which introduced its Korean range in March, positioned its menu with an extra kick of flavor with a spice mix as Indian consumers appreciate bold, spicy flavors, when Nestle too has extended its Maggi instant noodles range to cheesy garlic, Manchurian, and pepper variants, as Indian consumers want spicier stuff, whether rural or urban Gen Z or Gen Alpha, when the Indian unit of the Swiss foods maker Maggi spice plan includes focusing on traceability of spices such as black pepper, chili, cardamom, and nutmeg. In fourth news, fintech startup BharatPe is on profitability track and looking to raise $100 million of fund. The New Delhi headquarters startup BharatPe is raking in 8 to 10 crore per month in profit before tax, when the company is also expected to report a profit before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization in their fiscal 2025 result, and this happened over the last 2 years as revenue grew and the company controlled their expenses. BharatPe narrowed its net loss from 927 crore in financial year 2023 to 491 crore in financial year 2024, when its revenue in financial year 2024 rose 27% to 1,486 crore from 1,167 crore a year earlier. The company has yet to file the financial year 2025 financials. In recent past, a massive merchant lending machinery that the fintech giant built on top of its QR code-based payment processing business aided this turnaround. BharatPe is giving out around 700 crore in loans, mostly merchant loans, every month, and their book is holding up well. The company is targeting to raise $80 to $100 million within the next few months, and then to prepare for a public listing, when they are leveraging 2 major business developments: a fresh and committed management team and profitability in the core business. And in fifth news, Reliance Industries in talks to lead a $50 million funding round in space tech startup Digantara. Reliance Industries is in advanced discussions to lead a $50 million, which is around 430 crore funding round in space tech startup Digantara Research and Technologies, which is focused on space situational awareness and surveillance, when the existing investors, including PIP15 partners, are also expected to participate in the round. Digantara, founded by students Anirudh Sharma and Rahul Rawat, who teamed up with aerospace engineer Tanveer Ahmed, developed systems that track and monitor objects in Earth orbit, critical technology as both civilian and military interest in space grows. In March this year, the company launched a satellite capable of tracking debris as small as 5 centimeters, and it currently provides services to defense agencies in India and the US. Given the volatility in global geopolitics, every country is focused on having its own indigenous sovereign solutions that can be controlled in times of crisis. That's where the opportunity lies for startups like Digantara. The funding would mark a significant bet on India's emerging space surveillance sector that is gaining traction amid increasing global geopolitical tension and rising defense spending. When Reliance has evaluated multiple startups in the space tech segment and they are looking at companies building novel solutions in the sector. Digantara plans to establish a constellation of 12 to 13 surveillance satellites by the end of 2026. So far, the company has launched 3, including one as part of the planned constellation, when a large part of the funds raised will be utilized towards the capital expenditure for this infrastructure build-out, when Digantara's current focus is on defense contracts, while they are also eyeing commercial opportunities in space situational awareness. So these were the top 5 business news from Business Bytes in our channel The Spotlight, India's first online business news channel. I would like to request you to please subscribe this channel so that you can have all the updates from our end. Thank you very much for watching Business Bytes and signing it off.